Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Yes, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, a show where you send in questions about property, we answer them, and if you forget to tell us your name, we make up a silly one for you. That's how we do things around here. We've got a brilliant couple of questions coming up today after a very quick reminder, Rob, of how people can send in their own question.
As always, we give you two options. You can call in. You can call 013 808 00035, or you can go to thepropertyhub.net/ask. That's thepropertyhub.net/ask. And luckily this week, Stuart has navigated one of those options. Let's listen to Stuart's question.
Hi Rob and Rob, thanks for the programmes, listen every week. Question for you. I currently have 2 apartments for buy-to-let since 2013, and I'm lucky enough to have around about 500,000 in the bank at the moment as a result of savings and inheritance. I'm planning to give up full-time work in about a year's time to concentrate on property / semi-retire. What would you advise me to do and when with £500,000 to put me in the best position possible by, let's say, 2025? Thanks for the podcast. I'll listen every week. Please keep going. See you soon.
Really interesting question, Stuart. I like that we can play around with this one. So we know enough just about to answer this. Of course, it'd be great to know more. And all the caveats, this is a cast iron advice, blah, blah, blah. But let's play. So you've got 500k in your bank. You're going to give up work, go full-time and really attack this. For me, being full-time and being able to do this full-time is key. And I would definitely offer a different strategy if you were time poor. However, we know that's not the case. So, get stuck in and start doing some flips. Flip and hold is the strategy that I would go with. Now, flip and hold doesn't sound like a normal strategy because it's a combination of two. What I would be looking to do in this market, Stuart, is start to do some refurbs and take advantage of the capital growth you're going to see over the next few years. Because it's starting to move now as long as you're avoiding the southeast. That means that even if you get your first few projects a little bit wrong, the market should be kind to you and forgive you. But the market's only going to accelerate over the coming years. And flipping properties is a great way to build up that bundle of cash, each time making more and more profit, hopefully, if you do it right. But I wouldn't just do flips. On the side, I'd be looking to hold some property as well, particularly for the next few years before the market gets heated. So maybe for the next 4 or 5 years, you flip one, you hold one, and release some equity out of it. You flip one, you hold one. And then the last few years of the cycle, you just move back into flips. The great thing is, by going full time, you've got lots of options open to you. And you've got a good cash fund too. So whichever way you go, good luck. But I would definitely try and hold on to a few assets over the next few years because they'll do very well in their own right as well.
Okay, great answer, Rob, and thank you for the question, Stuart. Let's move on to our second question for today. This came in from someone who didn't leave their name, so I'm going to call him Chuck. Let's have a listen to Chuck's question.
Oh, hi, it's a message for Rob and Rob. Listen to your shows every week. Thanks for everything that you do. My question is following the last couple of episodes you've done on the podcast regarding the property cycle, which interests me a lot. I'm sure it does many people. How do you think Brexit will fit into that? As in, are we going to look at the time the cycle should be going up being squashed by basically as you leaving the European Union? Or could we be looking at it supercharging the next boom in that people are worried now during the midpoint cycle, and then when we've actually left, could it supercharge it? Because I've listened to obviously all the historical information, and I'm keen to get my head around what will happen moving forward, but I just can't work out where Brexit, which seems fairly unique, would fit into it. It'd be good to hear your views. Thanks again. Bye.
We do love a good property cycle question. Okay, so I think there's a couple of things to say about this. There's a general point and then a more specific one. So the general point to make about the property cycle is that evidence for it goes back 200 years. And of course it's not exact. It's never bang on 18 years. That's the average. But you get to see it play out time and time again. And something that you don't need to have studied too much history to know is that quite a lot of stuff has happened over the last 200 years. The world is looking quite different now from how it did back then. And it's very rare that you get the best part of 2 decades where not a lot happens. So what I'm saying is that at any point in time, there could be an argument that something's happening that is going to make the cycle behave differently. And it very rarely happens. It's only world wars that have affected the cycle so far. I'm not saying that Brexit is an insignificant thing, but we are always biased to think that the present is the most important time and what's happening now is more significant than anything that's gone before. So that's just a general point about the cycle. Now, what about the effect that Brexit will have? I don't think Brexit is going to have a huge impact on the cycle, but I do think it's a contributing factor to the mid-cycle wobble, which we appear to be in at the moment. Now, you might say, oh, well, we haven't left yet. How can that be the case? But I think we're actually seeing the impact of it now, and that's because markets are all about psychology. So broadly speaking, half the people in the country thought it was a good idea, half didn't. But even if you do think it's a good idea, I'd think very few people would think that it was being handled particularly well at the moment, and none of the news coming out around the subject is pretty good. That might turn out to be right, it might turn out to be completely wrong, but it doesn't matter. Because sentiment is negative, that's affecting things right now. So the fact that prices are dipping in the southeast, the fact that transaction volumes are down, I think that is the effect of negative sentiment around this whole topic. Then when we actually do leave, I'm not saying there'll be no impact at all, but I think it'll be less than you might think because we're experiencing it now. There are kind of two types of events, broadly speaking. There are the ones that come completely out of the blue, and then there are those where you're talking about them for a really long time and everyone knows it's happening. And generally, for that latter case where you know it's coming, and especially when there's as much build-up as there has been with this, it never turns out to be as big a deal as people think it is, and that the changes around it happen gradually over that period of time, rather than there being some big cataclysmic event. So I might turn out to be right about that, might turn out to be wrong, but the general principle still applies. The cycle has endured a lot without being overly affected. It seems pretty robust, and I don't think this is going to be any different.
Neither do I, Rob. Neither do I. Right, thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Chuck. 2 awesome questions in. Hopefully everyone is a little bit wiser after this little snippet of property goodness. We'll be back, of course, on Thursday with the Property Podcast, and next Tuesday we'll be back with 2 more awesome questions being answered. Hopefully, awesomely too. Until then, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.